Okay, so I actually filmed this video 2 days ago in the car on the way to the gym, but the fucking air was blowing right on the mic and you can barely hear me. Literally downloaded like an AI application to see if I could remove the extra sound. It just turned out it's not fucking possible, so I have a new setup. I'm standing, as you can see. Big standing guy here. I have this phone stand that I bought and I'm just staring at the phone. You're looking at me. This is weird, right? And the phone's on this tripod thing that you can't even see. To you, the tripod doesn't exist. Life's crazy. Now, I don't think this is a yes or no question. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. So first of all, let me diffuse some angry hostiles who refuse to give me a chance to speak before making judgments. Listen to me very carefully. Am I saying that women shouldn't have say in the way that society functions or who's in control of the country or economy? No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think voting has as much power as people believe it has when it comes to quick change. I think that social reform and things like this are typically done out of the polls. So marches, movements, things like this have historically shown proficiency in changing societies. Revolutions are not done in the fucking on a ballot, right? I'm not saying we should exclude women from participating in social reform, but I am saying that I don't believe that they should vote on every single issue that society encounters. Now, why is this? And is this sexist? Two of the main questions. So no, I don't believe it's sexist because I believe I am actually playing to the strengths of the woman by keeping her from having to even think about some of these issues. Here's the reality, and this is impossible to argue against, so I'm going to be completely honest. Women are more emotional than men. We can start there and we can agree on that. We could say, you could ask a bunch of questions about why that is, and the answer is because the brains are structured differently. Like if you look at the female brain, it's not the fucking same. The bodies don't even look differently, so for sure, the brain is different. It's just an assumption. And you look closely and you see different things, like women devote more brain function towards communication. That's why women are so good at poetry. And people now believe that a woman wrote Genesis in the Bible. And a lot of the times, just a quick tangent, this disparity in communication, the rich communication of women is in such contrast to the stark, frank communication of men that sometimes the disconnects are literally biological in miscommunication between the two sexes. Side point. But my main point is women are emotional creatures. Now, this has utility in nature. The emotionality of women allows them to literally detect the cries of children and what they mean. This is extremely useful, not only useful, but imperative to the advancement of the species. Because if it was up to men exclusively what was wrong with the baby, we wouldn't have any fucking living babies, okay? Like, clearly I'm exaggerating, but it's like, there's no argument against the utility of the female instinct. It's like you need women to be emotional so that they could care for infants, because that's some type of telepathy that we just don't fucking have. We could read and study and do trial and error and practice and things like this, but we will not come to the same aptitude in just telecommunication or fucking telepathic communications with an infant that a woman has. We just can't do it. We're not built for it. We're more built to protect them so that they can keep doing whatever the fuck they're doing. Okay? So now this emotionality is present primarily due to the higher levels of estrogen and other things in the brain. And so, because of this higher emotionality, useful emotionality, by the way, a benefit to nature itself. I don't really need these on because I'm not absorbing any blue light. But because of this higher emotionality, I believe that in general, emotionality affects decision making. Decision making is affected by multiple things: logic, reasoning, experience, emotionality, your emotional state at that time, making a decision when you're maximally angry is going to be a different decision when you're maximally happy. And I believe that women bounce around this circle of emotionality, and the male emotional circle is smaller. I believe we can contain our emotions in a much smaller area if we're talking about like imagery. And so this is kind of my argument. I believe that because women are more emotional than men, if you have two parties, and the question is, of the two parties, what party would make the most logical decision in a time of stress? I believe men would do that. I believe women look to men to lead and things like this. And so the downside to having women vote on everything is that they can be manipulated and controlled by the powers that be through these emotions to vote on things that they normally wouldn't vote on if they were operating purely on logic. Now, am I saying that men operate purely on logic? No. But I am saying that to a higher degree than women, the decisions that men make are simply more cut and dry and logical. Sometimes women make decisions based on how they fucking feel at the time. Primarily, that's what happens. So if you allow this to dictate things like who runs the country based off of, how they're feeling and things like this, or what they feel about the decision as opposed to if it's actually the best decision, it's not conducive to success. Here's another fun fact. I believe it's like 70 or 80% of online consumption happens by women. And it's because it's so easy to get them to buy into an idea. When you're selling something, I'm not a professional salesman, but I've learned some things. When you're selling shit, you're not actually selling the thing. You're selling the feeling attached to the thing. Because with money, people have this emotional attachment to money. And I'll give you a prime example. My father bought me when I was in high school, my father bought me a dresser, and it was like $2,000. Crazy nice dresser. I used it for years, and eventually it literally started falling apart. And when I moved back home, I had it destroyed. I had this guy help me like fucking take it apart because it was just impractical. I wasn't going to take it anywhere. I didn't necessarily have the time because I found out I was moving too late. I didn't have the time to hire a moving crew. I destroyed the bed frame and gave the dresser away because one, I didn't really want to take the dresser here. It would have been too much work to get up the stairs and everything like that. It just wouldn't have been practical. It would have cost me money, and I'm not going to make my parents lift that. And I don't really see the point in getting my friends to come over and do that shit or paying anybody. I need a new dresser anyways. It's fine. I'll get rid of the fucking dresser. I've had the dresser since like, I think 2017 or 2018. It's been 7-8 years. It's good. It's fine. I'm done with the dresser, right? And when I got rid of the dresser, I could tell that he had this this connection with it. And it's because at the time, whenever he spent that money, it was a hard decision for him to make on that money. Now, he spent 3 times as much for like a birthday party for my mom. Never talks about it. But there's an emotionality attached to spending, and that is why women spend more, because it's easier to convince them that whatever they're buying is worth it than men. Men, it has to actually practically make sense. Like, what I'm selling has to make sense. But with women, you can make them feel like it makes sense, and you're more likely to get the sale. And that's just how they work. That's why they consume so much. You can Google this shit. Doesn't matter. I found $10 in my pocket just now, like a fucking boss. But it's partly why I'm whispering too, because I'm upstairs. But yeah, it's this emotionality, again, useful towards nature, useful, imperative for the advancement of the species, that does impair the judgment of women when it comes to serious issues. And I believe that if we want a country where we have the best and most reasonable and straightest path towards success and prosperity, I don't believe we can have women vote on 100% of issues. I believe that there's certain ones that they can. I believe women should be able to hold office, politically, things like this. Some offices, not the president of the United States, but certain offices, sure. I believe they should be on the heads of, ethics boards and things like this, where they discuss community issues, things like this. Because a lot of the times, and this is true, by the way, politics comes down to ethics. Where we're going to allocate the money for X, Y, and Z comes down to who needs it. And that's a difficult question to answer, because then you're just talking about pure ethics. And I do think that's where women shine. However, I don't think black and white decisions, keep this, get rid of this, kill this, make this alive, do this, don't do this. I don't think that the final head, I don't think the gavel should be struck by a female. I simply don't. And I think it's for the benefit of them, it's for the benefit of men, it's for the benefit of everybody. That's my argument.